Hello, this is Jeff Nature with the AMD World Championship of Custom Bike Building. We're at the 72nd annual Sturgis Rally here in Sturgis at Champions Hall, and I've got Mark Irvin with me. And you know, we were talking before we started this, and you'd mentioned that you pick color based on across the room, and it's interesting you said that because this is the first bike I saw when I walked in from across the room. Tell us about the color that we're looking at.
This is House of Color Tangelo Pearl. It's a basic gold tone pearl in orange with a black base for my graphics.
And it really does pop. How did you come about picking this color?
Every time I go to a show, the first thing I look for is, what attracts you to the show. And it's always color from a distance. You can't see a bike until you see it up close, but you can see it from afar with a hot-looking color. So that's what I figured I'd use.
Now, what's interesting about this bike with so many of the other builders out here is that it came together at the last minute. So you were like working on it on the way to Sturgis. What was going on?
This was finished and put in a trailer 4 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning a few days ago. On my shift of non-driving, I'd go in the trailer and try and wrap up a couple of little trinkets here and there. I mean, you wait to the last second, but this is 800 hours worth of waiting to the last second.
So I normally ask this question last, but we'll basically ask it first. How long does it take from inception to completion?
This is 2 years in the making. We started out with the frame and the exhaust and the motor, and then the sheet metal came last. The seat, the handlebars, and everything, all the other components. Just a lot of machine work. So 2 years. The last 8 months were just pure hell.
And it was supposed to be that way.
That's what the fun is.
Well, this is long and low in the front end. Tell us what wheels are we looking at and the front forks.
These are Cycle Ward 21-inch wheels. They're one-off wheels. Basically a split two-piece wheel on an aluminum rim.
And you really don't see those around much. It's really dramatic.
It is a piece of art. The forks are just a basic Harley fork that we modified to run an air tube inside. We cross-drilled the front head to run air through it, so we would push air through the cylinder instead of an airbag system.
Now, when you're not working on your bike, you're working on big steel. So that tank that I'm looking at looks like you spent a lot of time on that baby.
Yeah, this is I'm in construction. I'm construction manager at the World Trade Center in New York, working on a ton of steel. So my inspiration actually is what we do with our steel versus what we can do with smaller, easier stuff to play with.
So this is a piece of cake?
This is cake, yeah, this is nothing.
Well, talk about the frame because it really shows the steel in the frame too.
The frame is a WKK. It's a one-off front section frame. We utilize the right side as an oil tank. The whole right arc and the lower section holds about 4 1/4 quarts of oil. It's pumped through a system with 2 nylon tubes all the way to the front, dumping the hot oil up front so it cools as best as we can and get back down to the motor. The left side of the frame is, the top rail is my raceway for all my wiring, my airlines. The bottom rail up to the neck is an air tank to support the air system for the air ride.
Now you mentioned that you need to get the oil cool. That's because that's one big honking engine. So and you can't buy those engines anymore. So talk about that.
It's a very rare Enginuity International motor out of Denver, Colorado. It's 147 cubic inches.
And it makes approximately?
We're banking on 165, 170 horse when we finally get it dialed in.
So I see that you've got a Revere Primo open primary on this side. Looks like a Baker tranny running a jack shaft. Did that take a lot of work to work through that to accommodate your rear tire?
We made the jack shaft 3 times in order to get the right spacing for the tire, so the tire appears to be center of the frame, which it's really off by about an inch and an eighth to get to the tranny. Otherwise, everything's off balance. Try to balance this bike's pretty tough.
So is this a fairly well balanced bike?
It balances very well. If you just sit it up off the air, it'll float, by itself.
So talk a little bit about once you're on the road, how it feels to ride the bike, if you've ridden the bike.
Straight line, the bike ride's like a dream. This is the first time I've ever had suspension on any of my bikes. I've always done a hardtail, so this is a dream to me. It may not be to others that have something similar, but it's a dream to me. Going straight line, it's a beautiful bike. Turning, I mean, you know, we sacrifice a few things here and there.
Well, Mark, it looks like it even is your size.
It fits me. I build my bikes to me, and shame on you if you're smaller. I don't know.
All right. Well, this is an outstanding build. We appreciate you coming out to the last AMD World Championship in Sturgis. We really appreciate you showing this fine custom bike, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you very much.